Hey guys, welcome to the third episode of Interview Question and Answers in Perl in VLSI. In a recent poll, you folks have voted and conveyed me that your learning curve accelerates more with examples. Hence, more examples are included. Today's episode covers Q&A including valid or invalid array, hash formats, and all about referencing or dereferencing of various data structures in Perl. So, stay tuned, stay focused, and enjoy the learning experience.
Hey guys, we are back in our computer screen and here is our menu for today. Perl array versus C array. That is the first topic that we are going to discuss. Next we are going to discuss different format of array. I'll provide a list of different formats of array and I'll let you to pick the invalid one. Scalar versus $hash operations in array in Perl. Two-dimensional array and array exhaustion in Perl. Next we discuss hash or associative array related questions. Next we will go for the questions that can arise from referencing or dereferencing in any of the scalar, hash or array. Finally, we will discuss what is globbing. So folks, here is the menu for today. So without any further delay, let's begin. Perl array versus C array. Now, this is a kind of header in which the discussion may come. However, the question can be asked from different angles. Generally, the college students learn C as their first programming language. Nowadays, in earlier days, generally it was the language basic. However, that is now not in much question. However, the first language that you learn in college, that is C, and somewhere C and C++. So this question will come barging at you. If you are a fresher, then this question can be asked to you. State the basic difference between the array in C language and array in Perl. So here I am going to give you a broader level difference. However, there could be many minute level questions can be asked. So take this slide as a pointer and do your own research so that what are the different angles that from which this question can be asked. In Perl, array or list are of variable length, whereas if you see the C language, we have to define the array with a static length. Now, in Perl, array or list can be declared without length. This is not at all possible in C language. At the beginning, during the declaration of the array variable, you have to also mention length of the array variable. Now, here there could be a question in C that may arise about the dynamic allocation. Okay, I'm not going in depth because I'll have to enter the C language then, rather than I'll stay in Perl. I'm giving you the pointers that you can take and do your own research and be ready and be prepared for your interview question in this particular topic. This length can vary even after creation. So we have declared array in Perl and later in somewhere in the code we can vary its length, which is however not possible in C. Array or list can contain any sort of scalars, even a combination of strings and numeric etc. That is, it is heterogeneous. Yes, in Perl we can mix up string and integer, string and real and integer, all those kind of mixtures we can save inside array. However, that is not possible in C. So you must side by side open up your C language book and keep this tutorial in the other side and compare what else are the basic difference between the C array and the Perl array. Next question. You can be asked that is the below is valid or invalid? The statement is my @array3 is equal to within curly braces, that is first bracket, array1 comma array2. So is this at all valid? Is it a meaningful line? Or you can be asked what will happen to array3 if we write this statement. So the question can come from different angles. Next, it merges the two array in the right hand side into a single array at the left hand side. So hence this statement is not invalid, it is valid, and this is what this statement does. So we are done with this particular slide. Let's move on to the next slide. Pick up the invalid array. Now, in last slide I have just spoken that there could be many variation, that is many permutation of combination what we are stuffing into an array. Now this page contains the question. In the next subsequent slide we will come at the answer. So let us look into the question first. Pick up the invalid array, and what the arrays are. First one is a simple array that we have 1, 2, 3. Second one, we have one string and one real number combined together inside an array. Now here what we have two variables $b, $c and one constant, that is 21. This is a blank or empty array. Now here we have 1.5. This means there will be increment by integer 1 starting from 1 up to 5. So it will be expanded like this expression. Next, we have a combination of this range operator, that is 1.3 and 11.13, as well as a constant, that is 7. Next we have $b $c. Next we have an array with all strings as elements. Now we are writing a QW, that is quoted word function, and giving the same elements as we have given in the first line. So this forms our question. So this can be asked you in the question. It could be a oral question or it can come as a written question. It depends how your interviewer sets the question. So far in this series I have discussed many things, so don't expect that everything will be asked in a oral fashion. There could be even a written version of it. There could be even MCQ version of that thing. So basically people what do when they set the interview questions, they get the main data and transform into a question which is kind of create a puzzling situation to your mind. So that is the purpose of the interview, that in a puzzling situation can you pick up the right answer or give the right answer. That means your basic knowledge very enough strong or strong enough to counter those puzzling questions. So that's why in this series from the beginning I am saying there could be multiple angles or multiple ways a single question can be asked. If your mind is in an alert position and your mind knows that I know the answer, however the question can be different, then you will, after listening to the point or after reading the question, that is after listening to the question or reading the question, your mind will give a pause and it will think, is that particular question which I already know the answer. Your mind can connect the question and the answer. The answer is in your mental database and the question is coming from your interviewer. So this way the thing can go and you can actually win your situation, win your exam, win your interview. So here what happens, this is the question and there are all sort of variations we have given, and the question is whether any of them is invalid or more than one is invalid. Let us see. Now before going to the next slide, what the thoughts coming in your mind? So theoretically go into everything and check? No, you are right now doing the preparation of the interview. You are not giving the interview right now. So your preparation, you have the 360-degree flexibility of trying a Perl code in the Perl interpreter. Do this whenever you have a thought about some question or answer. Go ahead and write a Perl program and execute it in the Perl shell, that is Perl interpreter. We are going to do that in the next slide. Here goes our code, by the pink box. First we have the hashbang user bin Perl. Next we are using strict, we are using dumper module, and we give some value to $C and $B and we declare it also. So this part will not be there in the question. So this could be a tricky part also. You can answer that if it is A, B and C is declared, there will be a situation. If B and C is declared and not assigned, then it could be a different situation. And if they are defined and assigned to a value, then there could be a different scenario. So from one single line, there are 3 different cases I have already discussed. So now let's proceed for the next lines. Now here array 1. Then I just keep on adding them because you already seen these things, no need to narrate them. And after writing this up to this one, because this already in the question, what I do, I use the dumper module to print the different arrays so that I can check which one is invalid. So Perl interpreter is the best one to do the judgment. Once you practice during your interview preparation, right, then you are quite confident that okay, this will happen or that will not happen. Obviously, definitely you go to the Perl documentation and read in detail, because the theoretical background that you have to also represent apart from your practicing. The practicing in the code in the interpreter gives you first level of confidence. The second level of confidence comes when you go to the Perl documentation and read in detail. So once we execute this particular code, what we get? First array 1, array 2, array 3, second array 5, array 6, array 7, array 8, array 9. So I think I have missed out array 4. However, array 4 was also in good shape. So I think array 4 I have missed out, but in the actual code I have printed out. If you execute, you will get all these outputs. So here, after we get all the outputs, we can see that there is no array in the provided list are invalid. So all of them are valid. So there is no need to worry. So you keep all these kind of variants in your mind, because when you are going to give the interview or when you are giving a written exam, this interpreter or this video will not be with you. So you have to memorize everything. But right now, when you are watching this video, you are preparing for the interview. You can go in a 360-degree flexibility. You can go try out the code. You can go ahead and read the Perl documentation, everything you can do. But in actual, that is your stage performance, that is when you are giving the interview, at that day, at that particular time, you have to keep everything inside your mind. So folks, I think we are done with this particular slide. Let's move on. Scalar versus $hashing array. So scalar is a function, Perl function, and $hash is another way of reaching to whatever the scalar gives. So let us see what they are. So the question can be that state the difference between scalar and then add the array, and $hash then array. So what is the difference? Scalar function gives the array length, that is how many members are there in the array. Next, what the $hash then array gives the index of the last element of the array. So if there are 5 members inside the array, it starts from 0 and goes to 4, right? However, from counting from 0 to 4 will be 5. However, when we use the $hash, we will get 4. That means the output is numerically different. In first case, it will be 5. In second case, it will be 4. However, they are interpreting the array. They are giving you the almost same data about an array. However, their method of detection or the output is different. However, both are related to the array length. So go ahead and try out this in a Perl code, and don't forget to comment down below. Now let us move. Please let us know if this is valid. This is the second question. It's another question. So we have given two strange notations, that is $array, and then within the rectangular bracket we have -1 and -2, and you are being asked whether it is invalid. You can go ahead and define an array and write a Perl code and try out. That is the first thing during the preparation stage that you have to do. Just don't read the books, because it's code. It's a code, you can practice it. Go ahead and practice it. That will actually pin the thing inside your mind in such a way that it will never delete. Now next thing is, both gives the element of the @array from the back side. So it is another way of reading the array elements, not from the front side but from the back side, that is from the last element. So for your knowledge, I'll suggest you to write a Perl code, simple Perl code, define an array with 5 elements, and then go ahead and print these two things. So print without the minus symbol and with the minus symbol, so you will understand the difference. It's your task, do it. So you're done with this particular slide. Let's move on. Two-dimensional array. Hey guys, don't you think this slide looks a bit stranger? Yes, because when you are in interview, right, the things that will puzzle your mind and you have to come out of the puzzle, that is the main thing inside the interview. So you know the concept of two-dimensional array from your C language. However, in Perl, what is it? This question can be asked in different fashions. So when you see this particular line that is @array 2,4 is a two-dimensional array, so immediately your mind goes back to some time point backwards and have the C array concept where we defined a two-dimensional array. However, this looks the same. However, Perl do not have a two-dimensional array. No, this is called array slicing in Perl. So the question can come from a different perspective, that state the difference of array slicing and two-dimensional array in C, while the array slicing is in Perl. So many directions the question can come from. Now we have an array here, and here if we write that the array 2,4, it is not the two-dimensional array. It is $A2 and $A4. So here in the array we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements, and the index value 2 and the index value 4. These two elements will be there with this array slicing, that is @array 2,4. Now how we can get it? We write a sub array, right? That is, we write a my @sub array equal to @array 2,4. This will give the new array that will contain the jackfruit and mango from the above original array. Now we write another sub-array, that is @array to ... 4. This will give 2, 3 and 4, and the elements of the sub-array will be jackfruit, grape and mango from the original array. So if you see these two things, these two examples, even the question can be asked in different forms. So either one of them or both of them can be included, and this question may come from any angle. So you have to cultivate the angles inside your mind, and that's where you are getting armored for the interview board or interview table. This one is done. The next question: how you can sort an array, numerical ascending or descending order? If you recall that in C you have some algorithm like bubble sort or something to use in way to do the sorting, so that question can be looped here. Your C language bubble sort or something other sorting algorithm that can be clubbed with the question, so get prepared for that also. That gives a different angle of approach that an interviewer can ask about this question. Now just in Perl, what we can do, we can use this syntax. Then that is in the left hand side will be the sorted array, and we will use a Perl function called sort, which in curly braces takes an argument that decides whether we are doing the ascending or the descending sorting. So A and B, alphabetically A comes first and B comes second, so this will be the ascending order sort, and right hand side will be unsorted. And again, if we write the reverse, that is B comes first here in the curly braces and A goes in the next position. So you have to write the syntax as is. You should not change anything. You should not use other than A or B, because A and B are reserved variable. I have mentioned earlier also, there are some reserved variables. Here you can see the example of a reserved variable in Perl, and you cannot change a reserved variable. Do not use any other syntax or other variables here, or do not try to even declare this A and B, because these are reserved variable. You can just go ahead and use here in this sorting algorithm. So if you write the alphabetical coming first, that is A at the left hand side and B at the right hand side, it will be ascending order sorting. And if you write $B in the left hand side and $A in the right hand side, it will be descending order sorting. So you can keep the alphabetical order in mind, and hence you remember whichever is in the alphabetical order, it will go in the ascending order, and which is reverse of it to the reverse, that is descending order. We are done with this particular question, so let's move on. Array exhaustion. Now folks, for beginning anything, what is array exhaustion? When you are doing some process and the array get exhausted because of some process or some operations on that array, it is called the array exhaustion. So the question can come in this way, that tell me what are the LHS values in each of these case. My $first, $second is equal to @array. Then first, then @rest, then array. So you can see in the first line there are two scalars. In the next line we have first one scalar and then one array, and right hand side we have the same thing, that one array. In the third line we have the reverse. The first element is an array and the second element is scalar. Now the right hand side remains the same. Answer: first, second and right hand side is equal to @array. So before going detail in the answer, there are three lines, that is first, second and third. So these three are asked to you in the interview. Right now you are doing the preparation, so you must gather the knowledge and store it in your mind. You can try it out with a code. That is the first thing I have already said to you. And then pin all the things in your mind and get ready for the interview table. So answer begins with the line, first line I have already displayed. This one, the first and second are assigned to the first and the second element of the array. This happens to them. You go ahead and try out with the code and let me know in the comment. Now in the second case, what happens? $first is assigned to the first element of array and the rest is assigned everything else. So rest of the array will go and sit inside the rest array. In the third case, we have the first element copy and then the $dummy. What happens? In this case, $dummy is not assigned. Now this is strange. You say, okay, in the first cases, the first and the second, they got justice and this is an injustice. No, it is not injustice. It's the code works in that way. Array are variable length, so copy has no reason to stop, because in the first element we have an array, entire array goes to the copy and sits there, so nothing left in the right hand side, and the $dummy is unassigned. Hence the $dummy ends up with the undef, since the copy eats up the entire available array. You can go ahead and try out with a code and print everything. This question, the prime topic was, or the main theme was, the array exhaustion. However, this question can be asked in multiple permutation combination of these three statements and asked you without even mentioning the array exhaustion. So you must be prepared for all of them. We're done with this particular slide. Let's move on. Hash or associative array related questions we are going to discuss. Here, first question, how you can access a key value pair at once, that is using a single command. That is a one-liner. This is the way. So here we can write while $key, $value, each then percentage hash, and here what we get, key then $key has a value is equal to $value. Okay, so key and value is there, and they will come from the hash with the function each. Let me bring my mouse pointer here, so you can see here we have used the each function on hash and we are using the while. So this is true up to the point hash is just exhausted. In the next iteration it will become false and it will come out of the loop. There is while loop. So here the key value pair is coming out. So print $key is the key and $value is the value, and we close it. So the first question is done. The second question is how you can convert an array into a hash and vice versa. So conversion of hash into array and array into hash. First, if you write my @array in the left hand side and put a equal to sign, and on the right hand side you write a hash, percentage hash, any hash, it converts a hash into array. Simple. Next, if you do the opposite, that is, if you write the new hash that is on the left hand side and array on the right hand side, it converts the array we have just created in the previous line back into a hash, provided in each case the elements in the array are even number. So this question has a catch and very important point to discuss, that is, if the array has even number of members, only and only in that case this vice versa conversion is possible, otherwise it is not possible. So we are done with this particular slide and two questions. Let's move on to the next slide. Here we will be discussing about referencing and dereferencing. Let us see the questions. For unknown reference, how you can check what is the corresponding data type? This can be asked for a tricky question or even for an experienced Perl programmer. You are debugging a code and there you are having some reference, and it's a kind of nested code. There could be multiple Perl files which are interconnected and talking to each other, and you do not know from where this particular reference came. In that particular situation, how do you conclude what type of reference this variable is carrying? So whether it is carrying a scalar reference, or whether it is carrying a array reference, or whether it is carrying any hash reference. So how you can conclude? So I have given already two different way of approaches of the same question. There can be many other approaches, or how the question is represented to you. The answer is, we have to use a Perl built-in function called ref in the following way: print, then ref, then scalar ref, then there could be array ref, and there could be hash ref, okay, and constant ref. Sorry, the last question came. So this way, if you print any using the reference function, if you print any reference, it will immediately say what type of reference it is. So you can use this simple method to determine what type of reference is there in the code or is given to you. Now let's move on to the next question. How do you dereference scalar, array, or hash reference variable? So we are talking about dereferencing. Means we will be getting the value where this reference is pointing to, the stored values at that particular location. For scalar, we can use my $dereferenced values. That's why I written deref is equal to $scalar ref. We add a $sign to the scalar ref. Next, for array, what we write? @ symbol just before the $array ref. So you can see, for next one, for hash, we have percentage $hash ref. So in the three examples, it is very clear to you. For scalar dereferencing, you can use a $, symbol to dereference it, and array, you can use a array symbol, and that is @ symbol, and for hash, you can use a percentage symbol to dereference it. Now, these two questions in this particular page can be combined. that for an unknown reference, you have to determine its reference first and then you have to dereference it. What will be your Perl code? Try the code at your end and let me know. I can give you some hint that you can use the ref function at first, and based on the value that you give, you can do a regular expression matching, and then you can have some if-else conditions to dereference it. So I have given the hints, you can write the code, because this particular tutorial is just to enable you with the Perl expertise. I think sometime rather than giving a direct example, giving a pointer and you doing your exercise at your end makes you much more stronger. Here we are done with this particular slide and 2 questions and plus their combination. So let's move on to the next slide. Here in this slide, we are continuing the question from referencing and dereferencing. How do you dereference an anonymous array elements? Accessing a value. So here, if we are using an anonymous array, if you are not familiar with the anonymous array, go ahead and watch the data structure episodes of Perl in VLSI series in this particular channel. Access the playlist, and in the playlist you will find it by the thumbnail as well as the title, everything. So here first what we do, we print the $array_ref, then we put an arrow symbol and then 0. So this is accessing a value. Then $#ref, then we put an arrow and then key, assigning a value. So this was accessing a value. $array_ref, then 0, then equal to January. So it will set the 0th index element of the anonymous array with the value January. Now #ref, then arrow, then key, and then we write the value string. It will set the value of the corresponding key in the anonymous hash element. So this way we can access a value or assign a value for anonymous array elements. So I have given both array and hash examples here. So let's move on. Without using the loop, how can you print a complete data structure in the stdout? This is a good question. Generally what we do when we have a language, C language knowledge, what we do that we use a for each or for loop. C don't have a for each, C has only for loop. We use the for loop to iterate on the array and print the elements. However, in Perl there is a for each loop, but that is again a loop. We can use for as like we have used in C. However, in Perl we have a smarter method, and in practical programming in industry we use this module every now and then. We have to use the use data : dumper, this particular module, and when we have to use the print command, that is print, then dumper, then a reference of that particular data structure. So this way it will print out the entire data structure in your stdout, means in your terminal. If you don't know, we have 3 input output system, that is stdin that takes your input, keyboard input, stdout that throws into your monitor on normal things, and third one is the stderr that throws errors and warnings into your monitor, that is shell, that is terminal. This way you can use a smarter method or a shorthand method, whatever you name it, to print out any data structure in Perl directly into the Linux terminal or stdout. So we are done with this particular slide. Let's move on. What is globbing? The name doesn't suggest anything. First of all, you have to know the details. What is the definition of globbing? The expansion of a file name argument patterns into a list of matching file names. How? Let us see with an example. If we write my@files and then we give this particular syntax, that is home/docs and star then .c, exactly as the syntax, it gives a list of the files ending with the C. They are residing in the docs folder. Similar way, if we write the glob function, that is my@files home, then docs, then star.c, it will list up the C files and give it back to the @files array. So here, this is the purpose of the glob operator, or definition you can say. How we can use it in actual code? So we write a while loop and then get my $file and then star abc.html, and then each HTML starting with the name abc, we can go and print ahead and we can close it. So this is the way using the diamond operator you can use, or you can use the glob and then you can take into my @files and then you can use it. So there could be combinations. So I let you decide what combinations you would like to think and do the combination and different angles of this question so that you are prepared for the interview table. Then for each my $file abc star.html. So here you can go ahead and print it. So you can use it with the for each loop also in this particular way. I have given you the syntax. You can go ahead, try out, and let me know what is your outcome in the comment box down below. So we are done with this particular slide and thorough example. So let's move on to the next slide. Thank you very much for watching up to this point, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. In case you have some dislike, put that as in comment section down below, and bye for today.